Hi, my name is Katie and I'm a big fan of the Coralville Public Library and of baking. And I'm really excited that I got the Prairie Kitchen Sampler by E. Mae Fritz. 66 years of Midwestern farm kitchen. The one that caught my eye is the fresh blueberry muffins. I am always in the market for a good blueberry muffin recipe. Let's bake. Here's the recipe. Pause to copy down the ingredients and instructions if you're interested in baking these later. So the first thing that she calls for is 3/4 a cup of blueberries. I'm using frozen wild blueberries and I have rinsed them off and they're drying on a paper towel. So I have all my dry ingredients in here and I'm sifting them together in this big bowl. So now I have the wet ingredients, which I'm going to put into a different bowl. This recipe does not call for it, but I'm going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla because most of my favorite recipes have vanilla in them. So the next step is to combine the wet and dry ingredients, which I'm doing right now. So after assessing the batter, I realized that it is a little bit too thick, so we need to problem solve. And I am going to add a 1.5 tablespoons of milk just to loosen it up, and we'll hope for the best. So one thing I have learned about older recipes is that oftentimes the people who are writing these recipes are using ingredients that might be slightly different from what we have to buy in the store these days. Maybe a more local, less commercially standardized flour, and so maybe that's why my batter is a little bit different. It's still pretty thick. It's almost like a bread dough, but I am going to try to fold in these blueberries very gently. This is what we have going. I'm getting them well combined. So next step is to put them in the muffin tin. So it says to fill each muffin well 2/3 full. So that's what I'm doing with this scoop. So I only ended up with enough batter for 11 muffins instead of 12. And you know, I double checked to make sure that I had the right amount of wet and dry ingredients, and I did. So maybe this is just a different kind of muffin. I'm very excited to try them. So now we have our muffins in the oven at 400 degrees, and I'm gonna set my timer for 15 minutes and then see what they look like after that. After 20 minutes in the oven, I have my muffins. The recipe calls for 25 minutes at 400 degrees. I went ahead and did 20. When I stuck a toothpick inside, it came out clean. There was no crumb. I can see here that these have like a more bread-like consistency, and I think that's what the recipe actually is meant to be like, because they are a less sweet version of a blueberry muffin, less cake-like than we're used to now and more bread-like. So I've been letting my muffins rest for about 20 minutes, and now I'm gonna take them out and try one. So in the end, even though it was a recipe that resulted in a batter that I was unfamiliar with, they turned out great. I learned that I can trust my baking instincts, but I can also try something new and have an unexpected result that turns out pretty good. So thank you, Coralville Public Library, for giving me the opportunity to try a new recipe.